Welcome to the Vergecast, the flagship podcast of rando Twitch guys who sometimes become CEOs for 5 minutes. I'm your friend David Pierce. Neil Abatel's here. Hey, buddy.
What's up?
We're doing AI chaos again. This is what we do here on the Vergecast. We talk about how people don't like AI, and then we talk about AI. This is what we're here for.
If you look at our audience stats, like the website stats, which we don't talk about a lot, everybody just wants to read about AI guys being extremely dramatic.
And boy, do we have a lot. There's a cornucopia of AI guys being dramatic in the world right now.
Alex Heath had a good tweet. He's covering the trial, and he goes, the entire AI industry is basically just how 7 guys feel about each other.
That's really true.
It's not wrong.
And by extension, like the entire United States economy.
Yeah,
it's just how 7 guys feel about each other. We got a lot to talk about. There's a new Fitbit product that I think you and I both have a bunch of thoughts and questions about. OpenAI is maybe making a ChatGPT phone. We got a bunch of stuff to talk about, but we got to start with the trial, right? Elon Musk versus OpenAI continues. This is week 2 of the trial. I sort of expected it to be less bananas in week 2 after Elon Musk left the stand. I was wrong.
Very wrong. It has only increased in amount of bananas. A bushel, if you will.
A bushel of bananas.
Can I just say this, one thing that's been on my mind throughout this entire trial? And maybe it's because, I have ex-lawyer in me and married to a lawyer, and we think about the lawyer stuff. To make AI good, you have to tell it everything. Right? It needs access to all of your email. You got to write down everything you want. You got to write these long system prompts, all this stuff, all the context that it needs. We're now watching the fruits of that in discovery, in a lawsuit.
Oh, that's such a good theory.
Do you know what I mean? Greg Brockman, why did you keep a journal? And his journal is extraordinarily damning. He's like, I shouldn't steal this charity. What are you doing, man?
Yeah.
I'm not saying that drove this set of characters to keep the notes and send the text that they sent. I'm very grateful that they did, because some of them are frankly hilarious. And honestly, a huge part of this Vergecast is just going to be me and David reading other people's texts to each other, and it's going to be amazing. But we're entering an era where every executive is talking to Claude all day long on their way to work, or dumping context into AI systems. And boy, is the next generation of lawsuits going to be amazing. Just straightforwardly amazing. And I'll tell you one, there's a reason I brought up Becky. Her law firm just sent around a reminder that when the clients take the legal advice and go ask ChatGPT about it, it loses its privilege.
Sure.
And courts in New York have ruled on this, that if your lawyer sends you something that's here's what I think we should do in this case, that is protected by attorney-client privilege. And then if you, the client, go to ChatGPT and say, hey, what do you think about this thing my lawyer said? You lose the privilege.
Right. It's the equivalent of telling someone else. You've now told someone else.
And that, on both sides, lawyers I can discover that now. Also, I have to tell my client. The next generation of discovery in all these cases is going to be bananas, because everyone is telling their computers everything all the time. And you can just see in this case, everyone is so online that everything is in the computer, Zoolander style. It's in the computer.
That is a really good theory. And it actually makes me think, one of the funniest characters, as we're going to get to in all of this, is Satya Nadella, the CEO of Microsoft, who throughout this whole saga, everyone is desperately trying to get to leave a paper trail, and he just refuses.
He's he's the public company CEO, the longest tenured, most experienced, multi-billion-dollar public company CEO. Microsoft is the economy. He can't screw up. Right. This man can only be reached on a phone through cutouts.
Yes.
That's it.
Yes. And they keep being I'm trying to loop him in. I'm trying to get him in. I'm asking him questions. I'm texting him. I'm reaching out.
Nope.
And then every once in a while it's long pause, and it's just got off the phone with Satya, and it's I get it, Satya.
He knows what's
well
up.
Played.
But I know that Nadella, just like the rest of them, in his interviews, he's I talk to Copilot every day about my next meeting, about this stuff. I love talking to it on a commute. Get ready, buddy.
Yeah. I mean, it is funny. It's useful to remember that all of the events that are being discussed in this trial are from somewhere between 2 and 12 years ago, and that a lot has changed. Even since the most recent stuff in this case, a lot has changed in a lot of people's relationships. So you're right that the stuff that is happening right now discovery is going to be just outrageous.
Yeah,
Like,
you're wearing one of those bee bracelets that records all of your meetings so you can be a cool startup founder. Guess what happens when your next deal goes sideways?
Yeah.
Like the audio of all, or the transcripts of all your conversations will now. It's great. I'm excited. As a reporter, I'm excited. I also refuse to use computers at work even more than ever.
Yeah, totally fair. So we should just walk through some of the stuff going on in this trial, but I feel like the stuff that's been the most interesting to me personally has kind of split in two ways. There's either the stuff we've learned about the early days of OpenAI, and particularly the circumstances under which Elon Musk ends up leaving. We learned a lot about that this week, particularly from Greg Brockman, who is one of the co-founders and is now the president of OpenAI. And then there's also the what happened during what everybody refers to as the blip, the brief period of time where Sam Altman was not the CEO. Should we start with the early days? Because there's a lot of interesting stuff that comes up. Bunch of stuff that I didn't know that maybe I just missed in the course of all of this stuff, including things like at the very beginning, OpenAI was going to be part of Y Combinator. That where Sam was running Y Combinator, this big VC firm for a long time. And like, I think more and more it's becoming clear that a lot of the internal consternation at OpenAI over the years has been all of the stuff that Sam Altman and Greg Brockman did around OpenAI and in the ways in which they were semi-sketchily enriching themselves, all while claiming to have no interest in a nonprofit and just trying to save the world. And if you're Elon Musk, it seems like a really good idea to try to prove as much of that as you possibly can, right?
Yeah.
Is that a fair description of what's going on?
I think it's a fair characterization of what's going on. You will recall that Sam left his position as CEO of Y Combinator in totally mysterious and extremely sketchy circumstances.
Yes.
And it is probably because he was double dealing all over the place, and no one has ever come out and said it. But a lot of people have basically been like, if you connect all these dots that I keep leaving everywhere, you will deduce that Sam Altman did a bunch of weird double dealing stuff and is no longer the CEO of Y Combinator.
Yeah.
And I think we're starting to see that in this case as well. Which, by the way, is totally in character with the Sam Altman that is like routinely profiled by everybody, including Ronan Farrow. Like, there's a lot of weird double dealing, talking out of both sides of your mouth, trying to make everyone happy, getting very rich along the way.
Yeah. And this ends up being really important in the firing of Sam Altman, but also appears to have existed since the very beginning, right? That they're running this nonprofit, they're starting this thing, they're trying to save the world. And Sam Altman, like, famously didn't take equity in this company, has spent a lot of time talking about how he didn't take equity in this company. And then you start to poke at it and it's like, well, he has equity in that company that is now doing a deal with OpenAI, and he has equity in that company which is doing a deal with OpenAI. And like, I think Elon Musk's lawyers have a real vested interest in building a pattern of Sam Altman being unreliable and trying to make himself rich while building a nonprofit on Elon Musk's money. But there are parts of that case that appear to be very straightforwardly compelling from Musk's side of things.
There are parts of that case that appear to be very straightforwardly compelling. And I'm going to issue the disclaimer, like, criticism of one character in this lawsuit is not praise for the other character.
Agreed.
And both sides get to put on their case. And so when OpenAI's lawyers are putting on their case, Elon looks maximally bad. And when Elon's lawyers are putting in his case, Sam Altman looks maximally bad. And that's the way trial coverage goes. And I say this every time because everyone gets very confused about how we feel when we're just talking about the cases the lawyers are putting on. But the out that I have for Sam and Greg, just in this process, yes, the evidence against him is compelling that they basically did a bunch of shady stuff. They are not sly by any stretch of the imagination. They're just out in the open being like, so we're going to do some like circular financing stuff. Like, you know, Greg is like leaving himself journal notes. It's like, man, I shouldn't steal a charity. Like, you know, like they know what they are operating out in the open. They're sending Elon these like extremely long notes that all start with this like staggering amount of praise because everyone's basically afraid of Elon, it seems, and they have to be really nice to him to get to one decision, and they keep laying everything out. There's at no point are they being shady about it,
right,
except that the thing that they're doing seems kind of shady. Do you know what I mean? Like, they're like, we're going to do a shady thing. And Elon's like, I don't know. And then that proceeds until they get it done.
Well, ironically, it's not shady when they're all on the same team, right? And then it just becomes, you know, there's so much money in this that we're all going to get rich and it's going to be fine. And this is like what you see in WeWork, another thing where there was just an outrageous amount of self-dealing. As long as the numbers keep going up and as long as everybody's getting rich, the things people will turn a blind eye to in that realm are outrageous.
Right.
But then we come to the falling out between Elon Musk and the OpenAI team, and I I think this is the part where Elon's case, kind of even in the very best case scenario, looks bad. Because essentially what it seems like is, again, and we said this a little bit last week, there was this big fight over who was going to control OpenAI. Elon Musk demanded everything. He at one point tried to make OpenAI part of Tesla. He said he was going to run OpenAI inside of Tesla in secret, and apparently offered Sam Altman a board seat at Tesla. It was like he wanted to subsume this whole thing. He would say his motivations were to save the world. You can feel about that however you want. He lost that fight, basically because the others teamed up and said giving essentially unilateral control to Elon Musk is not the right thing to do. And he took his ball and went home making aggressive threats about starting up a competitor, about how they were going to fail, about how Demis Hassabis, who was running DeepMind, who is like the looming big bad in everybody's mind, which is very funny in retrospect, is going to like ruin the world because OpenAI can't do it. He has such like sore loser energy in this whole split that it's like it just looks bad.
There's also some just extremely weird Elon stuff in the mix. Siobhan Zillis, who is the mother of some of his children, is part of OpenAI. Her job is to take notes basically on what everyone is talking about. So there's a lot of notes about what Greg Brockman, Sam Altman, Ilya Sutskever, and Elon Musk are talking about. And then when Elon leaves, she's still there. She's passing intel back to Elon, and then reports come out that she's had his children, and she has to go and tell OpenAI that she's also the mother of Elon Musk's children.
Right.
And everyone is like, what are you talking about?
Changes the dynamic slightly.
It's just like one of the more Elon situations in all of this.
Yeah.
That now the mother of his children is on the stand. And even the way that she talks about things in her affect it's just very Elon. On the stand, instead of saying, I don't recall or I don't remember, she would say, it's not in my neurons.
I hate that. I got to tell you, there's something about that just makes my skin crawl.
That when she said it, our entire Slack room of reporters tracking the trial, they all typed "it's not in my neurons" like at the same time.
Perfect. It's exactly right. So yeah, this whole thing is just bizarre, and it really does seem like the further we get into this trial, that it is the outlines of this split were that Elon Musk wanted control of OpenAI. He lost the fight and he went away. He says this one thing in 2017 after a discussion about going for profit, which again this is a big piece of this, right? Who wanted to go for profit and when? Was Musk for this? Was Musk against this? Did they steal a charity? Like this is the big part of the whole thing here. This is Brockman writing this. He says, at the end of the meeting, he said, you guys are great, but I could start another AI company tomorrow. One tweet is all it takes, which is 5 years before Elon Musk bought Twitter. There's the whole reason Elon Musk bought Twitter. And B, just a perfect summation of what a sore loser he is in this particular way.
I thought this one is very interesting to me. There's so much in this that is just about who is the talent and where will they work.
Sure.
This is why they're all afraid of Demis Hassabis. He's got Google's resources. He's got runway. He seems to be attracting the talent. They all think he's very smart. Yeah. And Elon's like, I'm going to take Andrej Karpathy. I'm going to take Ilya Sutskever. I've recruited this person. And it's just a handful of people at the bleeding edge of this technology.
Especially at this time. There was like a really, really small number of people who were really leading this stuff.
Yeah, and they were all basically deciding whether they were going to go out on their own or go work for Demis at Google. Like, these are your choices at the time. Mm-hmm. One tweet is all it takes really implies that there's like a bunch of AI people he can like address via tweet. It's a very odd, empty threat at this moment in time when so much of the drama is basically, where's Ilya going to work? Can we keep him away from Demis?
Right.
And maybe there's more characters in the mix. Maybe there's vastly more AI researchers at that time just waiting for a tweet. But it just struck me as such a classic Elon threat. Like, I can tweet this into existence, when every fact that had preceded it indicated that actually you need to hire one of like 4 people to make this work.
Yeah. And then and there's the moment where he hires away Andrej Karpathy to Tesla, and he goes back to OpenAI and is like, oh, I have an announcement and a confession. I've hired this guy who is like very important and is now like a celebrity in the AI world to go work at Tesla, which is a thing that if you care about OpenAI and want it to succeed, you probably don't do.
Yeah. At the same time, there's emails in the record now of Sam emailing Elon apologizing for having recruited even one person away for Tesla.
Right.
Like, I'm so sorry about this. There's some real, I'm watching The Boys. There's some real Homelander vibes around Elon throughout this entire, everyone's just like afraid of him.
Mm-hmm.
And then instead of lasers from his eyes, he has Twitter. Like, that's basically what this feels like at every turn.
Well, it's more than that, though. I wrote down these texts from Ilya Sutskever came up where he says, Elon might spend half a day a week with us. I imagined how it will be, and I worry that our work environment can become very stressful. And since he'll be bankrolling it, it'll be hard to stop it. Like, you're right. It is fear and flattery in equal measure. And there is this sense of like, we have to take his money to do this thing, but we also have to figure out how to keep him out of it as much as possible because he will ruin it.
Yeah. And then they're talking about all these conversions and what structure it will be. And the whole time he's like, I'll just take it. Give it to me.
Yeah. Yeah.
And now we're in this lawsuit, which, by the way, he insistently filed. Like, he's trying to kill OpenAI.
Elon Musk wanted this lawsuit.
But this is all happening because he wants it to happen.
Yeah. Yeah. Agreed. So the other thing, which I think is, frankly, vastly more fun in terms of the things we got to learn, is all the stuff that happened during Sam Altman's firing. This very brief couple of days where Sam Altman was fired unceremoniously and kind of out of nowhere. Staged a coup is like a non-generous but not wrong way to say it. A lot of people on the team threatened to quit. It became a whole thing. Gets reinstated as CEO. We learned a bunch about what happened in the midst of this. What jumped out to you as somebody who covered this in real time, particularly aggressively? Was there new stuff that really jumped out to you?
All of these people text like children. Like just pure children. And I'm not saying I'm like the world's best texter. It's just you read these texts between Mira and Sam, Mira Murati, the CTO, who was also the CEO for 5 minutes for all of this.
Right.
And if you will recall, we broke a lot of news during this time on The Verge.
Mm-hmm.
Like Heath and I broke a lot of news throughout all this. And we were texting and calling everyone all the time. Other great reporters broke a lot of news too. Like everyone was talking.
Yeah. Shout out to Ashley Vance, who now at Core Memory, who shows up in one of the messages.
Yeah. He's like in the screenshots as a notification, being like, there's going to be a new CEO.
Uh-huh.
Mike Isaac is like, he's doing a victory lap because he was correct that Mira Murati tried to lead some of this charge to push Sam out. But everyone was like talking and everyone was reporting. And I just remember my texts were like very formal. I was like, I'm going to text somebody and see if we can get some news out of this
Dear
person.
Sir.
And it's like, here, yes, pretty much. And then like, you're on the back end and you're seeing what they're all saying. And they're like, there's chatter, blah, blah, blah. Like it's all in lowercase. Like, no one knows what's going on. There's something about that. It's like, it's always interesting to see the other side of a thing you were even loosely a part of.
Yeah. I do think the back and forths between Mira and Sam as all of this is going on are maybe the best thing that came out and have led to some really like delightful memes. There is, to your point about Mike Isaac, who wrote a story concurrently as all this was happening, saying that Mira Murati was one of the people intimately involved with ousting Sam in the first place. Got a lot of criticism for that piece. A lot of people who said that wasn't the case. Turns out it functionally was the case. And on the stand, she said over and over, essentially, like, no, I didn't trust him. No, when he came back, I still didn't trust him. And that's like, that's under oath what she said.
Yeah.
And meanwhile, as all of this is going on, she seems to be the person Sam is most consistently messaging, trying to get information about what is going on. Because as we know, he basically, like, a lot of this comes up in that New Yorker piece you're talking about. He just like holed up with a couple of his confidants and lawyers and desperately tried to figure out what was going on.
Yeah.
Like spent a weekend basically frantically calling and texting everyone. And Mira Murati is like a source of his in the room. And the one exchange that has come out that is now, I think, just the most useful meme we've had in a while is Sam texts, can you indicate directionally good or bad? Satya and others anxious. And Mira just texts directionally very bad. Which is such a brutal, incredible own.
Well, no, it keeps going. And he goes, okay, can you wrap up soon? Lots of pressure for Microsoft for an update. And then Mira replies, Sam, this is very bad.
She's like, no, you don't understand.
There's not an update. Like, you're fired.
Yeah.
The background here and I will say this again, criticism of one person in the context of the story has nothing like praise for the other people. Everyone screwed all of this up from top to bottom. The board never communicated why they had taken the step of removing Sam as CEO. They never put out a statement. They never said, here's all the things that went wrong. Here's our evidence for doing this. They had asked Mira to collect evidence of Sam's management style and these challenges, and Mira had done it. She testified she didn't know why she was doing it. It's like, no, you definitely... We've all, like, you put him on a pip. Like, what? We all know what's going on here, right?
Oh, you want me to prepare a dossier on my boss? That's probably fine. Like,
where did you think this was going? The boss that you had concerns about? You were supposed to document your concerns? And so when the board fired Sam, it was like the shot out of the dark, and no one knew why. And there was, all they said was he was not consistently candid in his conversations. Right. This like totally opaque thing that could mean anything. And so he's texting her. He's legitimately like, what happened? And I think he thought there was some middle path. And there's this one set of texts here that is just it. And again, they're all texts like children. Sam says to Mira, can you please tell them I just want to resolve this, however, and would like to join. And Mira says they're convinced about their decision. And I just want everyone to pay attention to this response, which indicates everything about this process and how this company works. And Sam says, in response to they're convinced about their decision, for me to be fired or some other thing. And Mira has to confirm, yes, for you to be gone. And Sam just says, okay.
He's like, so I'm still fired, right? Like,
what?
What decision have they made this time? You can tell no one was communicating successfully at any level of this entire process.
No one is communicating. And the entire process here is they're communicating through Mira. So both sides are communicating through Mira. Mm-hmm. And I think at one point she becomes the CEO of OpenAI.
Yeah.
So just a lot of back and forth confusion here. And then we have to talk about Emmett Shear being the CEO for 5 minutes. So Sam texts Mira, can I come in and talk about a path forward with them? Mira says, no, they need more time. Sam, once again, more time for what? Which is just a totally reasonable question. And then Mira says, they walked me through all the reasons and the issues with you and why you can't be the CEO. Again, we still kind of don't know, right? There's been a lot of reporting, but we still kind of don't know. And then Sam says, can you ask why they've been saying all weekend they want me back? Mira says they want a new CEO in place. Sam oddly says, can you say you will call back in 10 minutes? And then Mira says they want to have a new CEO in place tonight, not me. Sam says, do they know who? Can I tell Satya? Is it final? Mira says, trying to add Satya now. Sam says, please, still don't want me?
Somebody is texting Satya a Zoom link, and Satya's going, what?
Nope, it's not happening. And then Mira finally ends all this with, new guy is a rando Twitch guy.
Which is so good. That rando Twitch guy, by the way, Emmett Shear, who was the CEO of Twitch for a long time. I think by most accounts, like a good egg in Silicon Valley circles, had a weird moment in the sun as part of this entire story.
Yeah. I mean, he's enjoying it. I remember, again, during this reporting, when they announced it was Emmett Shear, there was some amount of like, oh, we know him. You know?
Sure.
Yeah, that's a guy that we were all in like the incubator with.
But wait, the texts keep going here. So Mira says, new guy is rando Twitch guy. And then she says, before Sam can even respond, she goes, they don't want you. And then Sam responds, Emmett, with 2 question marks. And she says, yeah, but hold on, I'm pulling Satya now. Like, it's just bananas. And then Mira is telling Sam that she is trying to bring him back, which may or may not be, like, it seems very clear she is like engaging in different ways on both sides of this as this is all going down. It's just bizarre. And then they bring in Satya to try to get him to undo it because he ends up being like the grown up in the room in a lot of ways throughout this entire thing. It's all just so insane, man.
There's a moment where they're going to sell the IP to Anthropic, and Mira says they just don't want your hands on AGI, which is very funny. It's years later. We are no closer to AGI. Sam's hands on it or not. This, by the way, they do finally get Satya Nadella. Sam goes, did Satya get on the call? Mira says, yes, with him. Sam says, wait, I have an interesting idea. And Mira goes, still with Satya. Just totally sets him aside. You will recall, this is where Nadella decided to react to all of this, which I fully believe he regarded as completely juvenile and nonsensical and very threatening to the valuations of a lot of companies, a lot of things invested in OpenAI.
Including his.
He was like, I'm just going to hire everybody.
Yeah.
Microsoft will just hire. You can have whatever shell of OpenAI remains. This is his famous quote about we are above them, below them, around them. He's like, I'll just hire everybody. Sam is going to work here now. And that was a bunch of leverage in the middle of this. I mean, this is all very funny because it is just evidence that these things happen in a much more casual way. Like, this isn't lawyers. This is just two people texting each other, obviously being pulled in 5 different directions, talking to all the same people who are also pulled in 5 different directions. I'm pretty sure, Musk's attorneys brought this all up to indicate that Sam was unreliable, untrustworthy. At one point, he was fired from OpenAI. I have no idea if this is going to convince a jury that the structure of OpenAI constituted stealing a charity from Elon Musk, who was again and again presented with this exact scheme and didn't read the paperwork.
Yeah. I mean, it really seems like the easiest takeaway from all of this is that all of this is just a gigantic mess.
Yep.
And that it's like, you could make a lot of arguments about how poorly run this company has been throughout this entire process. I will say there are 2 things that came up in the why they fired Sam Altman bits of testimony that I thought were really interesting. And the one was, like we were talking about, this sort of circular set of deals, that there was a sense that the board, Helen Toner, who's also a board member at the time, testified and talked about some of this, that the board felt like it wasn't being properly made aware of all of Sam and Greg's financial entanglements. They made this deal with a company called Helios, which is a nuclear energy company that both Sam and Greg were invested in. That's a weird thing for OpenAI to be spending its time and resources on, and they felt like they maybe weren't properly notified that one reason to make this deal is that it's going to help make Sam and Greg rich. Another one that came up that I thought was really interesting is Siobhan Zillis said this too, that OpenAI's board was really concerned that it hadn't been notified in advance of ChatGPT being released, which is totally sensible in retrospect, right? Like the launch of ChatGPT like legitimately changed the tech industry forever. Like, it really did. I don't think that's an overstatement at all. I am quite confident that no one at OpenAI, up to and including Sam Altman, knew that was going to happen on the day they shipped ChatGPT.
Right. It was a little research preview that they barely announced.
It was a research preview. They just put it out into the world in a very sort of academic way. They were like, look, we made a thing. Test it out. Let us know what you think. And then it caught like wildfire. So the idea that they should have known ahead of time to warn the board that this earth-shattering thing is coming strikes me as obvious in retrospect, but sort of implausible at the time.
Wait, I can academically argue the other side of this.
Okay.
I tend to agree with you. Google had something that looked very much like ChatGPT in its labs forever.
Yeah, as Google will remind you, it invented all of this technology.
The T in ChatGPT is transformers, which were invented at Google. There, now the Google executive hiding in my bushes to remind me of this.
Sundar, you can go home now.
They say it all the time. They had this technology. They had transformers. They demoed it in a variety of ways. It never made any sense because they always did it in increasingly esoteric ways. I will never forget the I.O. where Sundar was like, and now I'll have a conversation with Pluto, the planet, about what it's like to be a planet. And no one knew what was going on. And if instead he was just like, look at this ChatGPT, like everyone would have been like, Google has invented the future.
Yeah.
You can see that split here in all these texts and emails because everyone's afraid of Demis, who is building the transformers at Google.
Right.
Like, it's like they've all seen the actual product and the public is like, Sundar's talking to Pluto again.
Oh, that's interesting.
Right. And they knew, Google knew not to release this product to the public. Their own safety culture kept them away from releasing, what was at the time, like a GPT-1 or 2 class model to the public. Like, this is dangerous. There's all this stuff that can go haywire, blah, 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 blah. We're going to do Pluto demos instead. All of the principles were like, this is the future. Mm-hmm. Literally, the paper is called Attention is All You Need. Right. And so I can see, again, I'm making the argument academically, because I agree with you that no one knew what would happen, but I can see why a bunch of people immersed in the safety culture of that time were like, everyone knew that you shouldn't do this. OpenAI exists because Google wouldn't do this. And you did it anyway without asking us if you should.
That's fair. And especially if you come from a safety first perspective, which in theory OpenAI at the time did, you would say, oh, this is a potentially like problematic thing we're putting out into the world to see what happens when it's out in the world. You should know that it's coming.
Right. This is the thing that Google won't do.
Yeah, I suppose I buy that argument. I also still think it's true that they, honest to God, did not think anybody would care. Like, I really earnestly believe OpenAI shipped ChatGPT. If you think you're releasing a product that's going to change the world, do you call it ChatGPT? Like, no.
No, that's what I'm saying. I agree with you on balance. Like, I think I'm making this argument for the sake of making the argument. I understand, but there was a reason Google did not release this product, and then OpenAI did. Now, OpenAI was nowhere ready to be a company. They were not ready to commercialize it. They were still chasing AGI, like all this stuff. And now they're a totally different company that, in its heart of hearts wants to be a for-profit enterprise competing with Google.
Yes.
That company is positioned very differently than the OpenAI that was like, look at our research preview. Right. But right. I understand why the board, which was our job is to keep everything safe and to like pull the ripcord as we get closer to AGI, was like, wait, this is the one thing the big player in the space wouldn't do.
Yeah, no, that's fair. I buy that.
Wait, can I just add one more thing?
Oh, please.
So I keep forgetting this as well, but Liz is in the courtroom. You should read her live log and her coverage. Yep. It's very funny.
She's so angry.
Everyone appears to be very tiresome.
Yeah.
Also, this is Liz at her finest. Liz being annoyed that she's watching billionaires sue each other is perfect. This is why The Verge exists. Hayden's doing great coverage on the exhibits, but I keep forgetting myself that Microsoft is a party to this case because they had the big investment in OpenAI. And right. Liz keeps mentioning that every single witness ends with Microsoft's lawyer standing up and saying something like, and Microsoft wasn't there? And then following that up with, and Satya Nadella wasn't there either. And she's like, this is literally the only thing they're adding to this trial.
So we didn't do that, right?
And they're like, have nothing to do with this. Right. See you later. It's just a very funny dynamic in this case that I can't get enough of.
That would be a really fun job as a lawyer. You just stand up and be like, but not me though, right? And they're like, no, not you. And you're like, see ya. No further questions.
It's very
That's
good.
Pretty good. Yeah. I really hope at some point we get some Satya texts. Some texts.
He's too smart for that, man.
He is. Satya wouldn't even be caught on a Zoom call, it appears. So kudos to Satya. All right, we should take a break, and then we're going to come back. We got some gadgets to talk about. We'll be right back.
Support for the show comes from LinkedIn. If you're a small business owner, you know that every hire counts, but time and resources are limited. Finding, connecting with, and screening the right candidates takes up valuable time you could be giving to your customers. That's where LinkedIn Hiring Pro comes in. It's built to be your hiring partner, helping you find the right candidates faster. That way you can hire with confidence without turning it into another full-time job. Hiring Pro streamlines the entire process from drafting your job to shortlisting candidates and conducting AI-powered interviews for initial screenings. Its updated conversational interface lets you describe what you need in plain language. Nearly 60% of hirers find a candidate to interview within a week. With Hiring Pro, you spend less time searching and more time connecting with the right talent. And instead of getting buried in resumes, you get a focused shortlist that actually moves your hiring forward. Join the 2.7 million small businesses using LinkedIn to hire. Get started by posting your job for free at linkedin.com/track. Terms and conditions apply.
All right, we're back. Just as a transition out of OpenAI, we should talk about this rumor/report that's now floating around that suggests that OpenAI is building a phone for ChatGPT. It's a phone GPT. What do you make of this, Nilay?
First of all, no side quests, I was told. Code red. We have to focus. Now we're making a phone. The one product that will not succeed. It just there's no way it will succeed. It's very hard to disrupt the iPhone. I don't know if you're aware of this, David. Killing the iPhone. Good luck.
I know, it's weird. It's almost like no one has tried. Why has no one ever tried to take down the iPhone? It's just sitting there.
Yeah, I mean, have you heard of Windows Phone? It's got this Metro UI. It's beautiful.
Okay, can I make an argument for why you have to do this, even though it won't work?
Oh, no, let's do it as an exercise.
Okay,
because I have a similar argument.
Okay,
you have to make it out of a place of optimism and opportunity.
Ooh, here's why it will work.
I will do cold realism.
Okay, here's why chat phone is a terrific idea that should exist, and I very much look forward to it. If what you need for the AI future is a device that is able to capture everything about you all of the time, you need something that isn't an iPhone. That is not a new idea by me. That is a thing Sam Altman keeps talking about. He loves the iPhone, thinks the iPhone is great, but he thinks the future is constant capture of your context. This is terrific for legal discovery. It's also the idea of AGI right now, right? Like, I need to have a thing that is constantly recording so that it can get all the action items from my meetings. I need a camera that is constantly recording so it can tell me what's going on in the world. That requires a different kind of hardware. You can't do it with the iPhone, in part because you can't access the hardware in that way because you're not Apple if you're OpenAI. But also you just need a different kind of hardware that operates differently. So you have to build a phone to do the things differently. And you also have to build a phone because everybody owns a phone. And the only way to beat the iPhone is to make a phone that can beat the iPhone. OpenAI has lots of users. ChatGPT is very popular. Maybe lots of people would buy a phone that offers easier access to ChatGPT. The other thing that it offers, and this is, I think, the real reason you do this if you're OpenAI, is that the only possibility for an AI-first world is to get around the App Store. Apple is systematically removing apps that let you build other apps from the App Store. It is not into the idea of being able to like vibe code on your phone, other apps that work on your phone. That is, in fact, the whole premise that you would need for an OpenAI phone to work. That all of a sudden I have a device that I can just tell what I want it to do, and it can actually spin up local software to do that for me. If you believe in the agentic future, if you believe that all of this is going to work on the fly and custom GPTs and all this stuff, it has to start from the hardware. And you have to start from whole cloth, and that actually having a thing that I just talk to with my voice and it builds its operating system for me on the fly, that has to come from someone other than Apple or Google, who will never allow it to be built. So of course OpenAI is going to do it, and it's super going to work.
Okay. I think my perspective, the more cynical, realist perspective, is exactly the same. Is exactly the same argument. I'm going to make exactly the same argument to you. I'm going to add two things to it. Okay. One, Sam hired Jony Ive to come build hardware at OpenAI. Famously hired Jony Ive, the designer of the iPhone and many other legendary products. And they made a video that cost somewhere on the order of $25 billion, where they walked down a street together and went on a date at a coffee shop. And they talked about the phones and laptops as, quote, legacy devices. And the entire promise of this thing was they were going to build something else. And there were rumors that it was headphones. There was rumors that it was a pendant, that it was a puck, that it was a pen, and all this stuff that wasn't a phone, because the phone and laptop are legacy devices. And I agree with you. Sam thinks you just need a bunch of context, and it's seeing the world around you. And then it can run around the web and call you an Uber and do whatever you think is going to happen. And then the reality, this is my other addition, the reality is that the AI products are not good enough to do that. They can't do the thing that everyone thinks they can do, that everyone wants them to do. No matter how many Mac Minis you put in a colo bin and running OpenClaw for every individual user, you can't actually make this product, right? And so what are you stuck with? You need a bunch of applications running on something local that ChatGPT can address, that it can control, whether that's through MCP, whether it's through like Google is doing on Samsung phones and literally opening the apps in like virtualized containers and clicking on them, whatever way you're going to do it, whatever Apple's going to do with Siri. It turns out you need the applications, not just the data, you need to do stuff.
Yeah.
You need the logic to exist. You can't just write a custom Uber app and be like, now there's Uber. Like, you need them there.
And even if you can, Uber did that already.
Yeah, like you just, they're not going to let you be like, you can use the Uber API. The CEO of Uber, Dara, was just on Decoder, and he's like, I want my pixels in your face. He said it out loud. So what you're stuck with, yeah, he was like, I want my pixels there. He kept calling them pixels in like a very specific way. And I was like, you mean your interface? Okay, I get it. Anyway, sure. And so you have Jony Ive. You made this big promise about the future of computing. And I think maybe Jony Ive, who likes to make good products, realized that ChatGPT can't do it. Like the technology cannot deliver the result.
Right.
And so what are you going to do? You're going to back into the right solution, which is it's a phone. And the phone's going to have apps on it. and the AI is going to run around using those apps on the user's behalf because the apps have all the services that people want. And also, if you make a thing that's supposed to replace your phone and it doesn't have Instagram on it, people are still going to carry their phones around.
Yep.
So what are you going to do? So poor Jony Ive is stuck making a new iPhone.
Because it's the only thing to
Because
make.
it's the only, I'm telling you, I'm agreeing with you. This is what you have to do. I'm just saying I could have called it the first day that they sat down in an empty coffee shop and called the phone a legacy device.
Yep.
Because it at no point has been clear that any of these LLMs can actually do the thing.
Right. But yeah, this is what I mean by it's not going to work and you have to do it anyway. Like even this whole accessory ecosystem they're describing requires a base device that neither Android nor iOS will give them the permissions to be able to do. Yeah. iOS is not going to just let you attach a third-party camera that's recording all the time. It's just not. It's just not a thing you can do.
They might make it themselves.
Sure. Apple would do it for itself. Well, and this is where like Apple's AI reputation is like annoyingly turning in its favor because it screwed up so badly that everybody's like, oh, 4-dimensional chess, like Apple stands to gain. Like, no, Apple screwed this up super bad. And to whatever extent this is going to work out, it is pure dumb luck and not good planning. Let's be so clear about that, which I have proof for that we will get to in just a minute. But the idea of having basically a new version of Siri, which we think is coming very soon at WWDC. And there was a report this week that one of the features of that Siri might be that you get to pick your own model inside of it, becomes hugely powerful, right? Because Apple is the company with the access to that data and to those services and to those applications. The thing it couldn't figure out how to do was build a model that could manipulate any of them with any kind of success. Now it has this big deal with Google. It's possible it's going to open up so that you can pick ChatGPT or Claude or whatever you want to operate this Siri for you. That becomes a really powerful model, but it's because Apple already did the rest of the iPhone, right? Like if you just start from whole cloth with here's a model, build the phone, you can't. It just doesn't work. But you don't have another option. This is why, like, we've been talking for a decade about how desperate all of these other tech companies are to get past the smartphone. This is why. They are desperate to sell you some other kind of hardware so that they can get around the platform controls that Google and Apple have and absolutely will not relinquish.
Well,
this is why Mark Zuckerberg tried to do the metaverse. It's the whole thing.
And they all have this belief, which is historically correct, that it's an interface paradigm shift that makes people buy new hardware.
Yeah.
And Apple has ridden this better than anybody, right? You go to mouse and keyboards, you get the Mac, you go to ClickWheels, you get the iPod, you go to the Digital Crown, obviously you get the watch. This is a staggering display of interface superiority that changed everything forever. But it's very hard to get past the multi-touch screen in the phone. Mm-hmm. And so natural language voice commands look like a thing that get you away from the phone. Like this is an interface step change. We can just do natural language, but you still need you need a camera.
Right.
Your kids are running around. You want to take a video of them, and it needs to be a great camera. Like it's very hard to compete with the most important product in tech history. In that way. Yeah. Even if you think the interface is going to change, and Apple is just like, we're just going to bolt it on when it makes sense.
Right. And we're rapidly realizing that chat as that interface is not the answer. Right, that there was a minute where everybody's like, everything you do on every computer forever is going to happen inside of a chat window. And when we need to, we'll just load a browser inside of your chat. It turns out that's awful user interface. Like we got past the command line once and we're doing it again. And Apple already built the other stuff.
Well, so, command lines are brittle because if you typed in the wrong thing, they just didn't work. The modern sort of LLM chat interfaces are actually brittle in a different way. And it's not the way everyone's used to. So I'm really opposed to hidden user interface. Like no one ever discovers the user interface. You just put all the controls on the screen is like my point of view. Like tell people what they can do and then they'll do it and they'll feel empowered.
Somebody at Samsung just got promoted when you said that. They're like, put more tooltips on the screen.
It's a dog with shoes. It'll help you out.
More pop-ups.
And, there's a big trend in consumer, the pendulum swings back and forth. Like the users get more sophisticated. We give them more controls. We let them customize more things. And then we've gotten too far and we hide all the buttons again. And this just keeps happening. Mac OS Tahoe is a perfect example of Apple just believing everyone is stupid. Like we've been shipping the Mac for 50 years you're all idiots now. Like we've taken all the controls away. We've learned nothing. We just think you're a bunch of dumb iPhone users, right? Like there's something in there that is confusing. Natural language interfaces are kind of the opposite in that you can just say anything you want and it will respond to you.
Right.
Like it's not brittle in that way. It's not hidden. There's nothing to hide. Like it's all just there. You're like, do whatever. Like make me a bomb. And it's like, sure, maybe I'm allowed to that. Maybe I'll just lie to you. Like who knows?
Yeah.
But they can't actually do all the things you're always saying to them.
Mhm.
And people run into that really fast. And I think Apple in particular with the iPhone, it wanted to overpromise on the Siri part of it and say it could do everything. And like the models at the time couldn't do it. And only lately with all the agentic stuff and like the building of harnesses and like there's just a method of doing it now that might work and might not work. But I don't think you can build a phone or a new device whole cloth out of LLM chatbots because it's still brittle. It's just brittle in a different way that doesn't immediately appear to be brittle.
Yeah.
It confuses everyone in thinking that it actually is resilient to like users doing random stuff. But it's actually even more broken because it can't do the things that literally will just like confidently tell you it can do.
Right. Yeah, it has such an incredibly different kind of structural problem, which is it fails without telling you it failed, which is very different than the other kinds of failure.
Yeah.
On this note, actually, we should talk about the other thing that happened with Siri this week, which is that Apple settled a class action lawsuit for $250 million that is based all around essentially the promises Apple made about Apple Intelligence and Siri.
I didn't even link these two ideas in my brain. This is perfect.
I mean, this is what it is, right? This is Apple spent whatever it cost to get Gemini and $250 million for a bunch of problematic ads that it made promises about phones that didn't exist. Let me just really quickly, to refresh your memory, play you one of these ads that came out after Apple Intelligence. This became the flagship feature of every Apple device. And you couldn't do it. Let me just play this for you. This is the Bella Ramsey party ad.
Siri, what's the name of the guy I had a meeting with a couple of months ago at Cafe Grinnell?
You met Zach Wingate at Cafe Grinnell.
Hey.
Zach!
Oh, wow, I didn't think you'd remember me.
Yeah, of course. As soon as I saw you, I'm like, it's Zach. Nobody walks like Zach.
Doesn't work. Fake feature. Does not. That was an ad with a celebrity that Apple ran for a feature that didn't and doesn't exist. Like, we just shouldn't forget how wild that fact is.
I mean, you want to talk about software brain. That ad, by the way, is built. That whole concept is built in the idea that all that data is in one calendar that Siri can go look at.
Yep.
Like,
which no part of that exists in the real world. But anyway, so this story has been like burning up all over our site this week because people can go and claim money. If you bought a phone, I think it's basically between like June of 2024 and May of 2025, you can get $25, potentially up to $95. We'll see how it goes. Probably $25. Yeah. Congratulations to everybody on your $25. But this continues to be a bad look for Apple. This is what I mean by Apple did not successfully stand aside the AI CapEx problems that other companies have. Apple screwed up so badly that it might actually have turned out okay.
Yeah. I mean, they sold more Macs than ever because people are running OpenClaw on them.
Yeah.
Like,
which Apple also didn't see coming, and they have supply issues. Like this company fell ass backwards into being an AI power player, and good on you for falling ass backwards into it. But like, what is it? The line was the Twitter was a clown car that ran into a gold mine. Like that's Apple and AI in such a real way.
Absolutely. I mean, WWDC is right around the corner. I think we're expecting to see a bunch of this Google deal pay off. I think we're expecting to see the new Siri. I think Apple understands more than any company like how to use a new user interface paradigm to make products. We'll see if John Turnus can pull even more rabbits out of a hat here. But it is true that at that time, the conventional wisdom was that chatbots would displace the iPhone. And if Apple didn't have an AI narrative, that it would be in some kind of existential danger.
Right.
So they just concocted one. They never shipped it to the point where they're paying millions of dollars out, hundreds of millions of dollars out for making fake ads. And it was all fine because it the fundamental truth was that the natural language interface was not powerful enough on its own to stand up a competitor to the iPhone.
Yep. And that's why you have to build a phone. That is the funniest thing here is like strategically OpenAI is doing the exact right thing and it's going to fail. And I bet they know it. But like what other choice do you have?
Right. Because the other player in phones is also not sitting still.
No. Also, the big bad of OpenAI's entire history, it turns out,
Demis Hassabis looms holding a Samsung S26.
Yeah.
He's just like, have you seen what I did to Bixby? Bixby has lasers coming out of its eyes, smoke coming out of its ears.
Exactly. Google actually launched a sort of AI gadget this week, which I'm actually very curious for your take on this. So it's called the Fitbit Air, and it is a screenless Fitbit. It's sort of a throwback to the old ideas of Fitbit, where it's just a little like bracelet of a thing that you can wear. They also make one that you can clip. It's a little modular fitness tracker in a very sort of 2012 kind of way. The big pitch here is not that it's a very old Fitbit, but that it connects to a bunch of Google's AI stuff. They've rebranded the Fitbit app as Google Health, which I think is just a horrifically bad idea, but we can talk about that. And the idea is it's this Gemini-powered health and fitness thing that can collect all of this data and give it back to you in a sort of AI coach kind of way. The thing is $99. I will say personally, I am very enthusiastic about the idea of a pretty straightforward screenless fitness tracker. This is actually a thing I have been wanting for a while. Are you still a Whoop guy? You're a Whoop guy, right?
So I need to just be very clear. Yes, I'm wearing the Whoop. I've got a Whoop. One, it's just like fun to try new products, which is I hope everybody understands I love gadgets and technology. And two, Chase gave them out to everyone for free. Everyone's a Whoop guy now. Everyone I know who has a Chase credit card has a Whoop now because they just gave them to you. Like all the Reddits were aflame with like free Whoops. So I just got one. I was like, sure, I'll take a free gadget. And
there's
I'm wearing
nothing more Whoop guy than having a Chase Sapphire card. Can I just say, like that just screams Whoop guy to me.
It's a lifestyle. I have it. It's fun. It's very dumb. Like it is a good step tracker. I wear it as a sleep tracker because wearing an Apple Watch when I sleep is like too heavy and like whatever. So it consistently tells me that I haven't slept enough. And it's like, yeah, dude, I have a baby.
Yeah.
What do you think is going to happen here? Oh, I wake up at 5 a.m. every morning?
Yeah. My Apple Watch told me last night that I did a better job than usual and gave me a 58. I was like, great. Things are going well.
It's like, yeah. We drag him into the bed every morning between 4:30 and 5, and he punches me in the face until 7 a.m. I didn't get restful sleep. You're saying I have a sleep deficit? What a surprise.
Yeah.
So it's like fun to wear. It's fun to see that side of things. V and I are constantly talking about the wellness tech complex. I get why Google is putting one of these out. The point of these is not the tracking. It's the data analysis and the recommendations that come after the tracking.
Yeah. And
if you're Google, you're like, oh, we're just good at that. There's a huge opportunity here to give cheap trackers away to whatever version of RFK's FDA is going to decide that the secret to health is personal responsibility and tracking. By the way, I'm just doing an impression of V Song right now. Just a straightforward V impression. This is what we talk about like almost every day. And then we're going to do a bunch of data collection and tell you to sleep more and drink less and blah, 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 which is all the Whoop AI ever says.
Yeah.
Like, oh, you had one athletic non-alcoholic beer. You're in a deficit. Like, what's happening to me? But you can see why Google's doing it because this is them being able to leverage their entire AI stack. Also, the thing, look, I mean, it's inexpensive for, anything being inexpensive anymore. It's like $100, right? And it has like modular bands. People really liked Fitbits, and I think they're going to really like this thing.
Yeah, I think so too. I think the idea of cheap tracker is smart and good, right? For all the reasons you just said, I think the idea of I want to wear a thing that counts my steps is good and fine, but actually what people do want is that one extra step. I agree with V in that most of these AI coaches are incredibly annoying, and they just like tell you how terrific you are all day, and it's like, just what if you just left me alone? Like, what if you just left me alone and it would be fine? What I don't agree with is the Google Health of it all. Let me just read you a quote this is from Rishi Chandra, who has been at Google a very long time, has run a bunch of products, was like on the Chromecast team a million years ago.
That was when I first met him, was when the Chromecasts were coming out.
Yeah. So here's what he says. He says, I know it will be hard for people, referring to the rebrand. It was hard for us internally, but as we think about the future where the health app needs to go, the health app is not going to be specific to Fitbit hardware. We want to be a health coach to an Apple Watch user too. That's why we had to make the brand change. I would argue he just made the opposite case that he should have made. I'd like to say it's called Google Health. Signs you up for a bunch of what I would call Google baggage, which is very real.
Including the design language of this app.
Yeah, absolutely. Which is, Google's software design continues to be just terrific. But the idea of Google Health signs you up for people understanding a different kind of data collection that Google is doing. People are going to start to think, oh, are you going to use this to show me ads and search results? And they will promise you up and down that the answer is no, and people won't believe them because the thing is called Google Health. It just has attachments that I don't think Google understands that it has.
Well, they're the ads attachments. They are going to use the data as context in your Gemini results.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
And that's what that buys them.
Do you remember did you ever watch Parks and Rec?
Yeah.
So do you remember the company Grizzle, this like mythical bad guy company at the very end of Parks and Recreation? Do you remember this at all?
No.
Okay, so there's the Grizzle is basically Google. It's this like company run by skateboarders that becomes the biggest thing in the world. And they make this case to the main characters in the show where they're like, oh yeah, here's why we're collecting all your data. So if we detect that you're down, we can like direct you to a cup of Joe as a pick-me-up. And if we see that you're having a great day, we can, I don't know, like direct you to your favorite coffee shop to go hang out. And Leslie Knope, the main character, just goes, so it's a coffee finder app. And he goes, yeah, we're making it with Starbucks. That's what this makes me think of. It's like, it's just that. You're going to take a bunch of things and then you're going to sell it to Starbucks so they can recommend coffee to me all day, every day, depending on how I feel.
Yeah, you're going to open Gemini and you're going to say, like, I'm hungry. And it's going to say, based on your heart rate, you should eat less salt. Like,
right.
That's what they want. And then they're going to recommend you whatever Blue Apron integration they have.
Right.
I can
or like go to Kava, which is ironically sponsoring us in Google Maps right now. Who would have thought?
I don't know, man. I get why they're doing it. I understand that. Again, this is every single morning V and I talk about this because I try not to Slack our reporters after hours. So I schedule a lot of insane wellness TikToks to send to V in the morning, and then she's mad at me every morning.
I was going to say, I don't know that that's better at 9 a.m.
Everyone's gotten used to it for me. There's a handful of reporters that get the craziest TikToks from me, like spot on the dot at 9, and I always forget to vary it to seem like I'm a real person. It's always at 9. But every morning, V and I talk about more crazy wellness stuff, and all of it is quantified self, AI, health coaches, data collection. And so, of course, it's Google Health because what they get with the brand is data collection.
Sure.
Everyone knows what's coming. Fitbit being like, we're part of the Google family is like, you get the weird conspiracy theory Facebook posts. You know, like I order Sundar Pichai to not share my Fitbit data with Google. Right. It's like, you don't get that with Google Health.
It's just Google.
Yeah.
That's a fair point. I'm sort of thinking of it next to Meta rebranding all of its apps. Do you remember when it was like WhatsApp by Facebook?
Yeah.
And everybody was like, hold on, Facebook owns WhatsApp?
Yep.
And on the one hand, it was like, well, yeah, where you been, guys? But on the other hand, it's like, don't tell them. Like, what are you doing, Mark? People don't know that people like WhatsApp and hates Facebook. Don't shove the Facebook logo into the app. What are you doing?
Did he ever take that advice?
Yeah, that went great for them. Anyway, I think there's one other gadget we should talk about before we take a break here, which is this company, Familiar Machines and Magic. Just
sure.
Fabulous name. Founded by Colin Angle, who is the longtime CEO of iRobot, which made the Roombas. This is like a guy who knows home things. Just launched a new, I almost called it a device, but it's not. It's like a weird little robot animal called a Familiar.
Sure.
I'm going to play the brief intro video here, and then I just need your thoughts on what this is. So it's like, I would describe this thing to you as a robot alien dog.
Yeah.
That is also a polar bear.
Yeah. What if you made like a lamb look ominous?
Yeah. Like they call this thing a Familiar.
Again, ominous.
Yeah. What do you make of this? They call it basically an embodied AI system. And Colin Angle's whole theory is that these things should be companions, right? This is not like a smart home controller that is also adorable. It is explicitly designed to be adorable and to connect with you and to be your best friend. I want to know what you make of this.
There's a lot of desire for there to be robots.
Mm-hmm.
And the humanoid robots don't work, as we've all seen. And so can we get a bunch of training data about navigating a house by making a cute fake dog that your kid can knock over and talk to? Boy, I bet we can.
Yes.
That's what I got for you. I would never let this thing in my house. 0% chance I would let this thing in my house.
I'm with you. I mean, what's funny to me about this is the funniest lesson of Roomba from 20 plus years ago is that people will fall in love with anything. They put a round vacuum on your floor that bumped into the walls, and people fell in love with it and became best friends with it. So to then be like, oh, I have to make it look like a dog, actually feels like you're learning the wrong lesson. That it's like, put robots in people's houses. Let them fall in love with them if they want to. This thing creeps me out. If I'm being completely honest with you, even if I were into the theory of this, which I'm not, the specifics of this sort of medium-sized animal just padding around my house. I've been watching a lot of Sonic the Hedgehog recently. My 3-year-old is super into Sonic right now. This looks like a knockoff Sonic character, and I do not mean that as a compliment.
Yeah, I see that. Again, sinister lamb.
Sinister, yeah, it's exactly right. So I'm torn. I'm fascinated by this to see if it technically can do any of the things it is supposed to do. I just am not at all sold on like the thesis behind any of this stuff,
especially because it doesn't actually talk. So it's LLM based, but it meows and purrs, and they don't talk because by design it will avoid giving factual advice about things it shouldn't be giving factual advice about. Sure, I agree.
You can't just say it's a dog. What else do you want?
So it's gonna patter around and be kind of alive and kind of like a dog, but it's gonna meow and purr.
Does your dog play music? Ours does.
By the way, the price is not announced, but Angle does say the cost will be, quote, around the same as pet ownership, which, depending on how you count, is millions of dollars.
I was going to say, in my life, so expensive. Do I need to take it to the vet when it eats grapes?
That's your subscription fee. You're going to get a subscription dog. And the point, I think this is just such an interesting quote. The next era of robotics is not about dexterity or humanoid form. It's about machines that can build and sustain human connection. First of all, I'd point out that there are so many machines that can build and sustain human connection.
Including vacuum cleaners.
We
did that already. Yeah.
Ask any car guy about their car. It's fine. But yeah, I mean, I'm fascinated by this thing. I'm fascinated by the fact that one of the, it's just, it comes up in everything. One of the use cases is help with wellness activities.
Yep.
Everyone's doing wellness. Yeah, no, who knows what this thing will be. I think it is very funny that it is this big.
It's a big guy.
It's a big guy.
Yeah. It's not a tiny little robot wandering around your house. It is like it's a guard dog.
Yeah.
Anybody who gets one of these, I am desperate to hear from you if these things ever ship.
Final quote. There's enough to it that it's beautiful, wonderful to pet and give a hug to and keep up with you. For some definition of alive, it's alive.
So you're saying Anthropic is going to release one of these very soon.
But it can only meow and purr.
Yeah, but it is by some definition of alive. That's how I feel when I wake up in the morning. All right, we should take one more break, and then we're going to come back and do the lightning round. We'll be right back.
Support for the show comes from AWS. How much of your workday is actually work? And how much is just hunting for information? The answer you need is buried in a Slack thread, the data's in Salesforce, or in an email from 2 weeks ago. By the time you've pulled it all together, half of your morning is gone. That's the problem Amazon Quick was built to solve. Quick is an intelligent workplace assistant that connects to all your systems, your documents, your dashboards, Salesforce, Jira, Slack, email, and gives you complete answers in seconds, not links to dig through. Actual answers with full context. And here's where it gets interesting. Quick doesn't just find answers, it turns them into action. Create a deck, update a ticket, send a message, right there in the conversation without switching tools. It's AI that actually works the way you do. Learn more at aws.com/quick. Support for this show comes from Klaviyo. There are only so many hours in a day, and Klaviyo's 2 powerful AI agents can make sure your team spends them on big things. The first Klaviyo AI agent turns your marketing ideas into reality instantly. Describe what you want: a holiday campaign, a VIP re-engagement series, and Klaviyo builds it instantly. Email, SMS, and push, all coordinated, on brand, grounded in 14 years of Klaviyo marketing data. Nothing goes live without your say-so. The other Klaviyo AI agent keeps your customers happy at any hour. Brand trained to answer questions, make product recommendations, and handle orders and returns. No hold music. Marketing that launches instantly. Support that never sleeps. Join more than 193,000 brands, including Away, Patrick Ta, and Dollar Shave Club, already growing with Klaviyo, the autonomous B2C CRM. Get started at klaviyo.com.
All right, we're back. It's time for the lightning round. Unsponsored. For flavor. That was like 8 dots, in case you were wondering. There are a lot of people tracking the dots. First up, the Hype Desk, where our friends Ross Miller and Ashley Esqueda come tell us what's cool on the internet and in the world. Hey, guys.
Hello.
Heyo. Ross, there's a picture in your background that makes me think I know one of the things you want to talk about today. What do you have for us?
Yes, I have manifested this, and I am so excited because late last night, out of nowhere, Nintendo announced a new Star Fox game, or rather a new old one. It's the 5th time they've made the same game, and it's still amazing. I'm still excited for it.
There is just one Star Fox game, right? And they just make it over and over and over and over again.
Well, there's that one we don't talk about with the dinosaurs. Like, we don't talk about that one.
So what's the deal with this game?
Yes, so it's been rumored for a little bit. One of the first Hype Desk we ever did, we talked about the Mario movie and how weird it was that Glenn Powell was there to play Fox McCloud, the titular Star Fox character. And then out of nowhere, Nintendo usually does like surprise direct announcements, but they give you a day heads up. This was 10 minutes. Like literally all my Slacks, all my messages, all my little work chats are like, everyone, drop what you're doing, watch YouTube. They're going to announce a new Star Fox out of nowhere.
Yeah.
And sure enough, they did. And I think you already kind of alluded to it, David. Why break a great thing? It's a remake of Star Fox 64, which is itself a kind of definitive edition remake of the original Star Fox. So this is truly the 5th time they've made this game. But it looks amazing. It's got cinematic quality graphics, which hit or miss on what you feel about like Fox McCloud looking like an actual fox now. But it's the same game. It's the same gameplay from what they're saying. There's a little bit in Nintendo Switch.
Do you still do a barrel roll?
You can still do a barrel roll. Hell yes, you can.
That's the only important part of this game.
Literally in the direct.
They made sure you knew you could do a barrel roll, you could do a somersault. Peppy Hair and Slippy Toad will still bother you to no end.
In the middle of your missions, there's still all that cross-ship chatter, which is very nice. That's classic Star Fox.
It's great. We're so excited for that.
There's also, but we have to talk about the defining feature of this game,
oh
to
my
me,
God, yes.
in my opinion, which is if you use game chat to have your face, like if it's looking at your face, it basically makes like a VTuber version of Star Fox that tracks with your eyebrows and your mouth, and you become Star Fox.
Wait, are you mocap animating the fox, or does it make you a furry?
No.
Yes,
You're
to both.
mocap animating Fox McCloud, and then you become Fox McCloud, which to the delight of furries everywhere.
Yeah, it's a virtual persona onboarding move.
It's like, a VTuber, a persona VTuber kind of thing. But really, genuinely, the sound that emanated from me, the joy I felt at this is the thing I love about Nintendo. They are so deeply weird, and they just do not care. And they don't care about what the community thinks of these like very strange, like Alarmo is another really good example of like something where it's like nobody was asking for it, and they made this cute little alarm clock And they were just like, it's just cool. And we want to do it. And like, this is like another example of them just being like, hey, we're just going to be Nintendo on our own terms. And this seems really funny and weird. And like, we're going to just roll with it.
Yeah.
Tomodachi Life, also another great example of like the weirdest thing that could possibly come out of Nintendo. And somehow it works.
I've now been looking at pictures of the new Star Fox for several minutes. I've been ignoring all of what you just said. I'm sure it was great. I can't decide if this is like, do you remember when they first showed the new like real Sonic and everybody freaked out and they had to redo Sonic?
Yeah.
This is like, there's a version of this that is that, because there is something that is slightly horrifying, but this is also the coolest thing I've ever seen in my whole life.
Because Star Fox is cool.
He's got the not quite zipped up jacket.
Yeah, wait till you see James McCloud. He's got the
dad.
aviators. Like, oh my God. Like, it's just going to be really, I'm excited about this.
Yeah, it's like Uncanny Valley parentheses complimentary. Do you know what I mean?
Like, I keep seeing the tribe meme like DLSS on, DLSS off. Right?
Yeah.
Like it is just a little too realistic. And I think I'm going to get used to it. It took a while. They just redid Donkey Kong's eyes about a year ago for the movie, for the new Donkey Kong game. It was a big deal because they haven't changed that look in forever.
Yeah.
I've gotten used to it. I have to believe it's going to be the same case here. But yeah, my initial reaction is, that's really real.
It's really real. Yeah.
But also there's the whole generation of kids and the Gen Z and kids who have just, they've never played a Star Fox game. Like they don't know. This is all they're going to know. And like, that's fine.
And now they're going to think Star Fox is like a very cool guy who like flunked out of the Air Force Academy for partying too hard.
Oh, he
like,
dropped
that's the
out
vibe I
on
get
purpose.
here.
Here's the thing. He dropped out on purpose because he was too good for the Academy. You know what I mean?
That's
Like,
right.
that's the lore I choose to believe.
Okay, so don't Google Star Fox Fursona
Nope. Don't do that.
in an effort to
Don't-
find a GIF of how it looks, because the first result is a Reddit thread from 2 years ago about audience overlap within subreddits, and I'll just read a headline. Apparently, half of all Star Fox fans are furries.
That number honestly feels quite low.
When you're like, Nintendo's doing stuff no one asked for, I feel like the data pointed them directly to let the Star Fox fans have personas.
Yeah. Mhm,
Some important context here, because there's also a very famous fighting game champ, Sonic Fox, who is a furry.
Is a furry. Mhm.
He's also the #1 Mortal Kombat player in the world. I think he still
Yeah.
is. He has been for many years. He just happens to be someone who always wears like a blue Sonic Fox furry mask.
I
too.
do feel like in back-to-back hype desk, we've done wiki feet and furries.
It's not back to back, but it has happened enough that it might become a regular thing. I don't
understand
We're
know.
what's
finding our
happening
stride. This is great news. What else do you have for us today?
Gardening. We have gardening. Ashley, you want to talk about this?
Just the concept
this
of
is-
gardening?
Yeah, so Zach Galifianakis has a gardening show.
The man loves a
on
plant show.
Netflix. I was gonna say
does.
this is between True Ferns.
Yeah, sure.
I'm gonna call it that.
I like that.
It's not between two ferns, it's between True Ferns, which we both thought this was gonna be kind of like a silly, snarky Zach Galifianakis jam where it's like, oh, it's like a funny little garden show. No, the man just really likes gardening. And it's like a really wholesome, little show on Netflix. I don't understand. I love it, but also I did not peg Zach Galifianakis for a plant girly.
So is this one of those things where Netflix was just like, Zach Galifianakis, we'd love you to make a show. And he's like, cool, I'm only going to do one where I just sit in my garden and talk about plants. And Ted Sarandos is like, okay.
Kind
Done.
of. So here's kind of. So it's directed by Brooke Linder, who also did John Mulaney's Everyone's Live in LA or whatever.
Okay.
So it has a very similar kind of like rough vibe. Like you think it's gonna be Zach Galifianakis being weird, but like it's earnest. Every episode is 15 minutes
15
long.
minutes. Super
There's
easy
6
watch.
of them. You can binge the whole thing in 90 minutes. Every episode has like 3 parts. One, he talks to actual farmers about the true history of a tomato or a mushroom or an apple. Like every episode's like an item based. And then the other part of it is like he just goofs off with kids, like kids say the darndest thing style of like he's just being a clown and just having a good time. Like it just feels in a weird way like a PG Adult Swim show.
It feels like something you would see on Nickelodeon in the 90s at like 4 p.m.
Yes.
Sure. Is this because Netflix is doing vertical scrolling video in its mobile app now, and they're just like, make clips, Zach?
That seems like maybe a strategy that, like, yeah, I would say that would certainly I mean, that would certainly lend itself to that, but it also just feels like if it genuinely feels like this is like content for like if kids watch it, like it's like safe content for them, but also like keeps them in Netflix. I don't know. I find stuff like that really fascinating because it's just so odd, and it's like maybe a parent would like I don't know, like if I saw that just randomly, didn't know what it was and hadn't seen it, I don't know that I'd let my kid watch it if I was familiar with Zach Galifianakis.
Right.
But also it is totally like appropriate for kids. Like it's very actually like very educational.
I think he makes a joke about LSD once, but otherwise it is a very like G-rated show.
So just the one LSD joke.
Just the one.
Like Shrek has like at least 4 LSD jokes in it, so it seems
Shrek is itself an LSD joke.
Yeah,
but
exactly.
no, I think it's one of those things we got really surprised by like just how earnest he came across in everything. Like usually you're used to like Zach Galifianakis, the character, or even like the heightened version of himself on camera where he's still being like a weird deadpan goof. This is one where like they constantly show like the wrong take for like talking, or he's talking to his producer off camera. Like they want to make it feel very rough, kind of just truly authentic, off the cuff. He's laughing at his own jokes and he's just having a good time doing what he does. It's kind of like if you watched Conan O'Brien Must Go, the travel show. Yeah. And every now and then Conan O'Brien just drops the facade.
Yeah.
It's that, but the whole time.
Yeah.
That is very Zach Galifianakis.
This is also
That's
giving
very
like
in his character.
This is also giving like early YouTube when like the Broad City Girls were making their web series before they made Broad City. We're just doing it in reverse now, where like A-list celebrity makes webisodes.
We've gone back.
I'm fully here for this. Speaking of Conan, by the way, Zach Galifianakis was on Conan O'Brien's podcast like this week, I think. Shockingly thoughtful about internet regulation.
This is how I feel like whenever I see Ben Affleck talking about AI, I'm like, oh, I was unfamiliar with your game, sir.
Affleck was like, and then he sold his AI company to Netflix.
I know, and then he sold his AI company.
So what startup does Zach Galifianakis have that's policy-based?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
Zach Galifianakis is going to run for Congress in 2028.
He's starting another MVNO, like Mint Mobile. Like, you know it's coming.
Between two phones.
Between two phones.
Thank you. Thank you for hearing that joke.
It just hit. It
just
finally hit.
God. That was the funniest thing I've ever said on this podcast.
We can't say anything else. We got to end on that note. That's incredible.
Yeah. All right. I'm going to go watch that show. 15-minute episodes, by the way. Fabulous. More things should be 15 minutes. Ross, Ashley, thank you as always. We'll see you next week.
Good to see you.
Bye.
All right, Nilay, this means it's time, once again, for America's favorite podcast within a podcast. We got an email this week calling it the world's favorite podcast within a podcast. So we're going global, buddy. It's time for Brendan Carr's a Dummy. What did you do this week, Nilay?
He did a lot this week. As always, he did a lot this week. The main thing is that he cheered on the 8th Circuit overturning the FCC's broadband equity rules that passed during the Biden administration, where broadband companies had to try to provide internet access equitably to people of all kinds of backgrounds. And they basically, the court overturned it, and Brendan cheered it and said, we don't have to do that, which is just the most Brendan Carr thing in the world.
Let's not give people who need internet. Hooray!
Yeah, I mean, you can talk about lots of ways, but Brendan, there's nothing he loves more than allowing telecom providers to charge higher rates and provide worse service. Do you know what I mean? Like, that's his thing. Yeah. Like, that's where he came from. Like, it is core.
And importantly, not do any work at all. It's like Brendan is really trying to protect the work-life balance of carrier executives everywhere.
Yeah. Before the FCC under Brendan became all about speech regulations, every single FCC chair, and I knew them all, was all about bridging the digital divide, closing the homework gap, making sure that rural communities had broadband. And Brendan is like, screw that. like we don't need to overbuild. This is one of his favorite phrases. And then he's cheering on these court challenges to, forcing what are essentially monopolies to provide coverage equally to people. So that's just very bad. He's very dumb. This is like, I'm saying it this way without a lot of fire because this is just the most Brendan Carr thing. Like,
he's like a cartoon character villain in that sense.
Yeah, but like this is the thing I'm used to arguing with like GOP FCC commissioners. Right. Like sure. Edgy Pie we would argue about this sort of thing. Like at least he's like true to form. It's like classic Brendan Carr.
Yeah.
Then the other thing this week that I feel the need to issue a disclosure about. a few weeks ago, we mentioned that Brendan had bullied himself into a discussion of whether the NFL should lose its antitrust exemption.
Oh, right.
So big sports leagues have an antitrust exemption because the owners all get together and they go collude basically on prices for broadcast rights.
Yeah.
And so in any normal market, you would have them all compete.
We call those things cartels. They're not generally allowed.
But big sports leagues tend to have these antitrust exemptions. The NFL is maybe the most important one. So that the owners can come together and the league can go negotiate for broadcast rights. And there's lots of structures, and you don't necessarily need that one, but that's one we have. So because the owners have now started going to streaming and getting deals, and in particular the NFL is so expensive to watch legally, there's just a lot of fulmination about breaking the antitrust exemption and making sure that it's not all on streaming, or if it's going to be on streaming, that the local stations can do whatever they want. So the DOJ is investigating this. Brendan can't help it because he loves muscling his way into any sort of TV dispute. He decided that he's got the power to as well. There's going to be Senate hearings about it. Everyone's talking about it. And it's true that fans generally do not like the way that sports broadcast rights are set up right now.
Agreed.
It is expensive. It's complicated. A lot of people are sailing the seven seas, if you know what I mean. So this is my disclosure. The Green Bay Packers this week sent a letter to Congress. It's basically a letter that's like, hey, just like, we're a small market team. We're owned by the community. If you upend the economic structure of the NFL, like, we'll be disproportionately impacted. And the last sentence says it as clearly as you can. Put simply, any disruption to the current Sports Broadcasting Act model, eliminating our ability to negotiate as the NFL writ large, would pose an existential threat to the Green Bay Packers and their existence in Green Bay as we know it. This comes the same week as Brendan saying out loud, actually, this inquiry might not lead to any action. Because there's a lot of pressure. Like, the NFL is full of lobbyists and billionaires. Right. And they're like, no, you're not going to touch us.
It is as powerful an organization as we have in America.
Yeah, this is a cultural institution. They're like, you know what? Donald Trump is president. Here's Bad Bunny. Yeah, like, they just have the authority to do whatever they want in a way that many other places don't have the authority to do they want. So I'm sure they're lobbying. Brendan said this week, we're just trying to make sure that we're educated on these issues. It's not clear whether there'll be a regulatory outcome or not. So you just have the NFL speaking with one voice being like, screw you. As corrupt as it gets in the way the NFL's corrupt. And then you have the Packers being like, this might kill the Packers.
I'm dying to know what your disclosure is here. Is this like Nilay Patel is secretly the backup quarterback for the Green Bay Packers?
I don't think anyone would enjoy that. I do think I should be allowed to call both the offense and the defense in the fourth quarter of playoff games. Based on my record in Madden alone, we would have gone to the Super Bowl 500 times in a row. Anyhow, no, I'm from Wisconsin. I was raised in Wisconsin by my father, a Brett Favre fan, and my family owns 4 shares of the Packers.
No way. You are the owner of the Green Bay Packers.
They every now and again, like, the sports media will run these trolls. It's like, Packers owner says they're going to trade for Aaron. It's always like one guy. Yes, the Packers are owned by the community. When they want to raise money to build stadiums, they issue shares, which give you nothing, and you buy them and they hang them on the wall. And you can get some of the worst merch in history at a 20% discount from the pro shop. That's what, and you can vote, but it doesn't matter. You can vote on the board of directors of the Packers, which I never do. So there's your disclosure. My dad and I each own 2 shares of the Green Bay Packers.
I'm now going to start angling for a change to the Verge ethics policy that says you're not allowed to also own any sports teams.
It's like, if you want to come at me for that one, I will take it on the chin. We did a quick post about the Packers thing. One of the commenters was like, I feel like this needs a disclosure. And they just meant that I'm a Packers fan. But I thought about it and I was like, nope, I own 4 shares.
That's great. Comcast is an investor in Vox Media, the parent company of the Verge.
No, we got to change that one too.
And Nilay owns the Green Bay Packers.
We have to change that disclosure as well, by the way.
Why?
I didn't even realize this. They're with the spin out of Versant from Comcast, the NBC investment it went with Versant.
Oh no! Now we have to say Versant is a minority investor.
I think Comcast Ventures is still up there somewhere, but NBC is not.
Interesting. Okay.
So there's your disclosure update. I own 2 shares of the Packers. So does my dad.
Nilay owns the Green Bay Packers.
I own the Green Bay Packers. I'm trying to get the new president of the Packers at policy on Decoder, and I'm just thinking how funny that episode will be for a variety of reasons.
As your boss,
that's
some questions. That's really good.
Anyhow, those are our disclosure updates.
So this is now your most direct fight with Brendan Carr ever. We're getting closer. the Nilay Brendan showdown inches ever
if
closer.
Brendan ruins the Green Bay Packers, I will be very upset. I don't think it's going to happen because I think the NFL's ability to lobby on its own behalf is very high.
Yeah, they're largely doing fine, I would say.
And I also think that the streaming landscape and the cost of watching sports is untenable for most people. And actually, maybe you should renegotiate and rethink the entire structure that led to those outcomes. And maybe the Packers are overplaying it. I'll find out when Ed Policy's boss is the owner of the Green Bay Packers interview Ed Policy. I'm not saying it's going to happen. I'm willing that into existence here at the end of Brendan Carr's Dummy. As always, Brendan, if you'd like to talk about any of this, in particular, your absolutely regressive approach to broadband deployment in the United States, which is keeping the internet from poor people, you're welcome to come on this show. I can tell you that I'm pretty sure we're going to federate Brendan Carr's Dummy to one more podcast very soon. It was already on Stephen Robles' podcast, but there's another one coming. You might be able to guess what that is. So we're expanding. We're America's favorite podcast within every podcast. Brendan, you're welcome.
IADCU is exploding.
Right. That's right. Anyhow, that's been Brendan Carr's Dummy, America's favorite podcast within all the podcasts.
It's good stuff. All right, my first lightning round item. I would just like to alert everyone to the existence of a company called Dreame. If you don't know about Dreame, Jen Tui wrote a terrific piece for us about this company. Basically, it's a company out of China that started as a robot vacuum company on kind of a Dyson grind where they're like, we know how to make a kind of motor. Yep. What can we put motor in? And started doing stuff, built robot vacuums, built a pretty successful robot vacuum business, and then decided that the next thing to do is to make everything for everyone, everywhere throughout the world as we know it. And last week had a big, huge US launch event and has basically begun rolling out some of the most spectacular vaporware the world has ever seen. And this I'm like earnestly proud of this company for, with a straight face, saying all of the things that it has been saying over the last week or so.
Straight up, one of the things they said was, we will turn our CEO into Elon Musk.
Like, China's Elon Musk. Yep. It's just a thing they're saying out loud. They announced, I think, like 24 smartphones in the Aurora line, a bunch of which have weird ideas about things, including one that is a modular phone that you can attach different modules, including a telephoto camera lens to. There's also a satellite communications module. I want to be so clear that none of these things are ever going to exist, and if they do, you won't buy them anyway. No. But I love so much that a company can get on stage and be like, look at all this weird crap we made. They also made a car, I think.
No, it's not just a car, David. It's a rocket car.
Oh, right.
It's a rocket car. Yeah, it can do 0 to 60 in, they claim, 0.9 seconds.
So literally, it would have to be a rocket car.
It's a rocket car. It is. I don't understand. I mean, our deck is so straightforward. Andy Hawkins is our transportation reporter, and the deck of this piece is, the Chinese vacuum company has automotive aspirations, but its claims of rocket boosted acceleration don't add up. It's like, yeah, I don't think they add up, dude.
The math ain't mathin', my friends.
Yeah.
They also launched smart rings, smart glasses, a laundry robot. I would say there is no more classic vaporware genre than robot that will fold your laundry. Somebody has been shipping that since time immemorial, and I believe it will never actually exist in the real world. No. But Dreame's making one. They got a bunch of robot vacuums and lawnmowers. All kinds of wild stuff. Like, every product you could possibly imagine, Dreame believes that it will sell you at some point in the very near future. And it's all a bunch of nonsense, and I just admire the hell out of it.
Can I come back to the rocket car?
Sure.
It's very important that I come back to Dreame announcing a rocket car. It's called the Next 01 Jet Edition car. It has Batmobile-style fake jet engines on the back. And again, the claim is it can go from 0 to 60 in 0.9 seconds. You can't do that on regular tires, as our transportation editor, Andy Hawkins, points out. You will hit the limits of traction. So you can put all the power to the wheels, but the tires will explode.
So they're going to launch this thing briefly into the air as it accelerates.
Like, it's like you might have made like a top fuel drag car, but you actually just made this Kia looking thing with your jet engines on the back.
Fantastic.
Unless the reason that it's jet engines is because they're not driving the wheels.
This is what I'm saying. They're going to launch the car into the air. The wheels are not important.
The jet engines can just push the car forward.
Yeah, the wheels don't have to turn at all. The wheels are just ancillary.
When you talk about the most spectacular vaporware in the history of the world,
it honestly, it has a real claim to it. Like,
Yeah.
there's not a lot of better vaporware. Everybody go check it out. We have a great photo essay of all the stuff. Go read Jen's piece. We'll put it all in the show notes. This company is absolutely fascinating. Whether it ships or not, I think Dreame is fascinating, and you should go check it out. Nilay, what's your next one?
I just want to point out that the Autopian sent an engineer to check out the Nebula Next 01 jet car, and his assessment was, quote, feels like horse shit.
Perfect. I like the idea that this person was not like an automotive engineer. They're just like an HVAC engineer where they're just like, nope, wind doesn't work that way. It's really good.
It's very good.
What's your next one, Nilay?
I got one more. It's just one of my favorite stories of the week. We started with Elon. We're going to end with Elon. Elon, out of the nowhere, just announced that he is further consolidating the SpaceX empire. And xAI, which was its own company, which also contained X, the social platform and everything app that we all use for everything.
Right. So they started X, then started xAI. xAI swallowed X.
Yep.
And it all became xAI.
It all became xAI, and then SpaceX swallowed xAI.
Right.
And now he's formally dissolving xAI as a company.
Okay.
And it's just going to be part of SpaceX, and they're just going to call it SpaceX AI.
Wait, the whole thing is now SpaceX AI.
Yes. They did not quite announce it. They put out a press release announcing a compute partnership with Anthropic, in which SpaceX referred to itself as SpaceX AI over and over again in the press release. So that's what we got.
The whole Anthropic thing, by the way, very weird. They're getting all of this compute from, I guess it's called SpaceX AI, but there's like a clause in it that if Elon Musk decides it's bad for the world, they can pull the compute back. Weird stuff going on.
Yeah. It's also not clear if SpaceX itself is called SpaceX AI or just the products, the AI products of SpaceX are an umbrella brand called Space. None of this makes any sense.
X is a feature of xAI, which is a feature of SpaceX AI, which is a branch of SpaceX.
Yes. And by the way, X, just to be clear, is the everything app that we all do all of our banking and real estate transactions in.
Right. Pretty soon you might bank with a division within a division within a division within a division of SpaceX.
Yes, which is also selling compute to Anthropic.
I love it.
When you're like, oh, this whole episode started with a long trial about corporate structures and you end with, and it's called SpaceX AI. It's like, well, we've learned nothing.
I have no notes. I'm in. I will give you just to button that with a better example of a company doing a good job. Asha Sharma, who is running the Xbox team now, continues to do good, smart things, which is to say, make obvious decisions to make Xboxes less bad. She announced this week that they're getting rid of the Copilot AI stuff on the Xbox. They're making some big changes to the platform. They started teasing the like universal look across all kinds of different devices. Just before we get out of here, just a brief shout to Asha Sharma, who has basically shown up and just systematically reversed all of the bad decisions made by people before her, which is actually a pretty good way to endear yourself to fans of Xbox. And it seems to be going very well. There was a lot of skepticism about Asha Sharma when she took over this team, and people are coming around really fast. There's a lot of enthusiasm for what she's been up to recently.
I mean, you're just like, I'm taking the AI out of it. Everyone's like, you're the best.
Yeah. And meanwhile, Microsoft is out here being like, oh, do you know all those MSN widgets that show up in your face every time you open the start menu? We're going to get rid of those too. And everybody's like, oh my God, Microsoft gets it. What if we made our products less horrible?
Yeah.
It's like,
it's perfect.
Is the fate of Windows. I'll take it. All right, we should get out of here. Lots going on the site. Go read everything. Liz, literally as we speak, is still in the courtroom. There are still shenanigans. This trial has weeks left. We got a lot left to do. We'll keep covering it. But we will not be covering it next week because we are off next week. No show Tuesday, no show Friday. We're going to be back with a live show on the 19th after Google I.O. Nilay, you're going to be at I.O.
I will be at I.O.
TBD on connectivity situations, whether we get you on the show or not. But we have some other folks here that are going to help me run through all the news. We're going to talk about all of it. We're going to go live kind of right-ish after the keynote on Tuesday. So no Tuesday episode that morning, but we'll be back that afternoon. We're just trying to give everybody a break. There's like a lot of stuff coming up. We have some really fun plans that we're going to start to tell you about pretty soon. Lots going on. We just figured we're going to give everybody a week to like go stare at trees before the true chaos of developer season gets us all.
I'm going to see if I can get my car to go faster than any car has ever gone in the history of the world.
You're going to put several rockets on your car and see if
Fake
tires
rockets.
even matter anymore.
It's going to be great.
I love it. Who's on Decoder this week?
Joanna's on very soon, talking about new things and her new book. And then I will just hint that there is a wave of big interviews coming that I'm very excited about.
It's going to be good. All right. Remember, as always, you can subscribe to The Verge to get this podcast and all of our podcasts ad-free. TheVerge.com/subscribe. That is what makes us ungovernable. They can't mess with us as long as you subscribe. The Vergecast is a production of The Verge and the Vox Media Podcast Network. Today's episode is produced by Eric Gomez, Brandon Kiefer, and Travis Larchuk. We'll see you, in 2 weeks? Nilay?
Rock and roll.